Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. And for those of you that celebrate, Merry Christmas, guys, on this Christmas Eve. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollars, the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. I cleared my throat. So last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was pulling back here, guys. We had this expected pullback, and we were looking for a bounce somewhere between this 38 and 3,700 zone that we had talked about. We can see that it bounced right on top of that 3,800, which we knew was a. I told you guys if that's what happened, it would be a very bullish sign that the what was resistance started acting as support. Certainly, it did. Price ended up coming back up, found resistance right at that known area again here, guys, between this 4120 and 4,000. Kind of was unable to break above, and then we just decisively broke above last night. And we didn't just break into this zone, guys. We decisively broke above this zone here. This 4100, what was resistance now, is now acting as support, which is a rather bullish sign, as you guys always know. I always tell you that as soon as we break through a resistance and we see it retest, act as support, usually that's a bullish sign. Now, it's not the only thing that we look at, but it is one thing that we look at as an indicator of bullish momentum, and certainly that's what we're seeing here, guys. So price came back down, tested perfectly right on top of our 4120 support, and it's amazing me how these support and resistance areas are being respected, guys, and have been for so long, all the way up here. So again, acting as support here off of 4120, and the next area that we're going to be watching here is this between 4400 and 4315, guys. This zone that we have marked off here, this should be a decent supply zone. In other words, there more than likely we can see that there's a lot of sell orders in here. How do we see that? Well, we can see when price broke down, came up, wick, broke down, came back up, wick, broke down, wick, broke down. So all those wicks are kind of telling you that there are very likely a lot of sell orders sitting in here between about 4,400 and 4315. So this should act as a decent resistance. We'll see if it does. Excuse me. But for right now, this is kind of what we're watching, guys. We can see that there's also some resistance. We can see we have a lot of order structure that was created back in here between this 4120 and this 4315, which we're kind of getting caught up in now, guys. So we're going to be watching this very, very closely. What I'd like to see is a break at least into this zone, at least above 4315 with some consolidation sideways. A break above would obviously a very, very bullish sign, rather bullish sign here. But really, I'd like to see a break above this zone here, which I don't have marked off here. Sorry about that, but that sits at about 4,540. This zone right here. In fact, I'll go ahead and mark that right now. All right, there we go, guys. So yeah, this 4,540 zone here, guys, that's going to mark the top of this zone here. We can see there was a lot of resistance there as well. And so really, if we can get above 4,400, obviously an extremely bullish sign. If we can break above this 4,540, I think that that is going to show you that we do have a lot of momentum heading up here. So we're going to keep an eye on this, guys, very, very closely. As I showed you last time, if I pull out here to the daily chart, and we pull our Fibonacci levels. I told you last time it looked to me like we were pulling our fib from this here. If we look at this overall structure, really this order block right here was the first time price started to create some structure since this breakdown from 6,000. So this is where I was pulling my Fibonacci level from last time, and I explained to you guys last time how this was adding up almost perfectly. We can see that price came up here, perfect hit off the 382. Finally broke above the 382. We had a perfect hit, or excuse me, off the 236. Perfect hit off the 236. At least with the body, we can see we wicked through it, but came back down. And then finally, when we broke above the 236, came back down, acted as support. Came up here, hit the 382, acted as resistance. We can see this number here broke above the 382 briefly, perfectly hit the 50, and then broke back down. And then we finally broke above the 382. And when we broke above the 382, we had this perfect hit right there inside the golden pocket, which for those of you that don't know, that is just that area. Let me extend this out here so you can see a little bit better. That golden pocket is just that area that sits between the 618 Fibonacci level and the 6.5 Fibonacci level right here. We can see that this area acted as resistance here for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and then finally we just decisively broke above it today on today's candle. So I'd like to see this is not insignificant that we just broke above this golden pocket here, guys. Not insignificant at all. And I told you guys last time this is what I wanted to see, a decisive break above. So by decisive, what I mean is on the daily chart here, since we're using the higher time frame to measure this, I want to see a candle open and close, a daily candle open and close above this zone. Right now we are above it, so obviously we need to close above this zone here, guys. Tomorrow's candle I want to see open and close above this zone as well. That'll be a decisive break, guys, and if that does happen, in my opinion, there's a very good chance this thing is going to continue up. Obviously nothing is a guarantee. That's just one little piece of the puzzle that we're watching, but but it is a very, very bullish sign, guys, that we have broken above here. And let's see, now we've broken above this before by a wick. So let's see if today's candle can at least close above here. If it does, again, guys, that's going to be a rather bullish sign. So let's keep an eye on this. All eyes on this zone right now for the next until this candle does end up closing. Excuse me, guys. All right, coming out and looking at volume, as I always tell you guys, volume is key. Overall volume today sitting at about 7 billion. That is a little bit of an uptick. We can see that we had this, we had slow increase in volume till we got up to about 8.9 billion. I discussed this was the highest buy volume that we have had since, I believe it was since May of 2018, May of this year. So again, this was not insignificant. Then we started to drop off for a couple days, and then yesterday we started to tick up, sitting at about 6.1 billion, and today we're continuing that uptrend in volume, sitting at about 7 billion on the day. So let's see if that uptrend continues, guys. That is a bullish sign that we're seeing buy volume increase like that. If we come over here and we look at our moving average and exponential moving averages, this is on the daily chart. We can see that we're testing the top of the Bollinger Bands here. So let's see if we can break that or if we get a pullback. Obviously, looking at the Bollinger Bands here, we may get a temporary pullback. Let's wait and see how that kind of plays out here, guys. If we can continue up here, continue this uptrend, guys, I want to see a break above this 55-day EMA and or 55 or 50-day moving average, the orange line. So this pink or this orange line, which are kind of coinciding right now, if we can break above that, guys, obviously it'd be an extremely bullish sign. Let's watch and see if this if that does end up happening. But as I always tell you guys on the daily chart, what we need to see is a daily candle opening and closing above the 21-day EMA to signal a shift in momentum. We had that 4 days ago, and so that was our first sign that this thing did have some legs. And of course, we are seeing that with the continued follow-up in price, the continued increase in price as today. So again, that was a good indicator, guys. If you were watching that 21-day EMA, that decisive break above that 21-day EMA, that was a good indication of at least a short-term shift in momentum in favor of the bull. So we could see that that played out very, very nicely. So, excuse me. Coming over here and looking at our shorts versus longs. Short positions, slight little downtick. You would expect that with the uptick in price. Shorts are getting liquidated. Now, not nearly as much as I would have expected here. I think most of the stop losses are on shorts are going to be contained up in this zone between about 4,400 and this 4,540. If we can break above 4,540, I think that's going to trigger a lot of the stop losses on shorts. We'll wait and see if that does happen. But as of right now, guys, a little bit of a downtick in shorts. Overall, not too significant, but something we're certainly going to keep an eye on. And shorts are still outpacing longs at this time, which tells you that market makers may have incentive to bring price up. That being said, we had this massive drop off in longs here, and then over the last, since December the 20th, the longs have been slowly climbing here. And of course, in the last 12 hours or so, they've been climbing, I won't say significantly, but certainly it's not insignificant to see this little uptick here in longs. And that, of course, is expected. Prices going up, you'd expect people to start to get a lot more optimistic. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is I would rather see people taking profits along the way here, which we did see that right here, and we may see that again. But if we just see longs start to stack and a lot of people coming in and just start to increase longs, we may see market makers try to liquidate those by bringing price right back down. Remember, it's a zero-sum game, guys. So that's a possibility. That being said, we still have shorts outpacing longs. So overall, we may see this continuation in the uptrend if that continues to be the case. So we're just going to, once again, monitoring and making sure this is just one piece of the larger puzzle that we're keeping an eye on to try and figure out where price is going to be heading next. Now, we are seeing some structure in the market. If we look at this uptrend here, guys, we had this pullback here. So where did that pullback trigger before we created a new high? Well, if I go swing low, swing high, we get right on there. We can see that we had a perfect hit right there off of the 382, which coincided nicely with the top of our resistance area here at 3,800. But a perfect hit right off the 382, bounced along, and then finally took off. So again, a very technical hit, a very bullish hit that we only retraced to the 382. That's a rather bullish indication. Typically, you're going to see the majority. I think it's about 60% of your waves second waves retrace to somewhere between the 50 and the 618 Fibonacci level. So again, remember this being an overall, yes, there was a 5-wave structure that we talked about here, but that's going to be an overall primary wave 1 going down for the primary wave 2. So overall here, guys, this was a 1 coming down for the 2. Perfect hit right off of the 382, which is an extremely bullish sign, and then off to the races here, at least so far. Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but at least so far that is what's happened. So if that count is correct, guys, that's a rather bullish indication that we only retraced to that 382 fib level. So we're going to, again, something else we're going to be keeping an eye on to see if this momentum can continue and to see if we can bring ourselves at least into this zone between 4,400 and 4,315. Excuse me. To the downside, I'm going to be watching this very closely to see if we do break back down here, possibly coming back into this 3,800 to 3,600 zone. If we do only retrace to here, guys, I'm not going to, I'm not going to say this is it, this is over. We just may getting another correction with that increase in longs, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see. I'd say, I wouldn't be surprised if we did get a little minor correction here, possibly coming up, testing this zone, and then coming back down, at least correcting back down to the bottom of this zone, possibly 4,000, possibly even this 3,800 level here. If we break below 3,600, I'm going to start to get a little concerned. I'm going to start to get very concerned, actually, if we do break 3,600. So all eyes are going to be on this zone here, really the top of this zone at 45.40, and then the bottom of this zone here at 3,600. As long as we remain in this zone here, guys, I'll remain relatively neutral and cautiously optimistic that this thing might have some legs. Of course, keeping an eye on longs versus shorts, keeping an eye on overall volume altogether, guys. So these are the kind of the things that I'm watching. This quick update, guys, right before Christmas. You guys have a very Merry Christmas. I'm going to wrap things there. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.